Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio for this? Yes, thank you. Okay, hello, everybody. This is Marilyn, and it's time for the noon edition of Welcome to My World. This is Friday, the 5th of May. So we have had Freaky Friday. I don't know how many of you were in here at 8:30 this morning. Actually, it was a couple minutes before 8:30. But if you were not up and ready and your charts loaded and everything, you might want to take the time on your favorite markets to scroll back um, and see right at that 8:30 timeline what those charts looked like. Because literally everything under the sun went both directions at once and really fast because we had numbers hit, and these numbers were um, they are all flagged as red, which or four bulls or whatever you're using. The Apex website has that. Forex Factory has that. But this morning we got significant economic numbers, and they were they were really pretty good for the U.S. The non-farm employment change, uh, that's the employment numbers in the giant part of the sector, the employment sector. They It was up, and so now they're declaring that the unemployment rate is 4.4. And boy, these markets reacted to that. I mean, lightning fast. So this is why we keep on and on and on about the news, the news, the news, the news. And I know some of these news releases, you kind of sit there and think, oh, well, what's so exciting about this? Nothing's really happening. But boy, when you get some that that puts a happy dance in, especially in the indices and things that affect the indices, the dollar and gold bonds went whooshing up and then pulled back, and this is a time to really and truly not get in front of that freight train unless you have a strategy off of that you're trading the Nadex platform, unless you have a strategy that is recommended for that particular news event on there. And usually it's a straddle or a strangle or something. But normally you sure don't want to be in a futures contract trade for that kind of stuff. So anyway, this morning we've had everything kind of, I don't know, fiddling around. The YM is hanging on settlement, and the rest of them haven't really done too much. YM has been a little slower than its two friends, um, and I don't have a TF chart up, but NQ and ES are sure just about the same. The big news this morning, uh, for trading purposes, has been crude oil. And the reason that you would be inclined to watch this thing to the upside this morning is because if you go back and look, uh, yesterday and the day, yeah, right in here, this huge big sell-off. This was an enormous sell-off. And at some point it will stop selling and turn around. So it did that late yesterday afternoon, and then it fiddled around, and early this morning it took off again. That big sell-off, I don't know if you paid any attention to all the marvelous talking heads that know everything there is to know, but they were in the bearish camp on crude oil and how it's never going to be above 45 again and blah blah blah. But it it I wouldn't bet on this going, down into the 30s again. And there's a lot of them that have the big naysaying thing. I was going to look here to see just how much. Hang on just 1 second, and I'll check this for us all. Um, I managed to get this. Oh, here we go. Um, yeah, if crude oil was going to go down, it still is in just a little bit of a contango, but it's not as much as I would like to see it. That's for sure. But this is also, when it sold off, uh, a great buying opportunity for the back months, what the folks, the big traders that intend to take delivery, because these airline companies and big trucking outfits and all this kind of stuff, they have a crude oil trading department that, as well as gasoline and all the other things that they use on a big basis, because they fully intend to take delivery on that stuff. And getting the best price affects their bottom line, obviously. So it's a big deal to them. And Aaron put this is classic. If you're listening to this on the recording, Aaron just put in the chat about how crude oil made a 200 tick move over several hours. And it just, amazingly enough, it just happened to stop right at a deviation level. Fancy that. These deviation levels are just unbelievably useful. And I refer to them as the major street the bus drivers use, but they seem to know where those levels are. And yeah, it might be a tick or two. That's why Daryl puts those zones on his. I can't stand those bands. I already got enough stuff in front of my face. I just want the line. I can figure out a tick or two one way or the other. But he puts those zones on there to remind you that within 5 ticks one way or the other of the deviation level, it can also turn around or burst through or whatever. Let's see. We've got the dollar selling off a little bit today, and the euro trades exactly inverse to it, so the euro's been climbing. Everything else is pretty much in a chop. There have been a couple of trades on ZB, not too exciting, but off of settlement up to, fancy that, deviation level and right back to settlement. So sometimes those come right along. Let's see. The big thing I think we want to pay attention to this afternoon is at 1:30, Mrs. Yellen is supposed to be speaking. I'm not sure where she's speaking, but when she starts speaking, the market can respond, and especially this is a Friday. So if you're not, I think it's kind of unusual for her to be speaking on Friday. And I'm not real sure what she's going to say, but I'm smart enough to know that these politically tied, whoever they are, they like to dump out news on Friday afternoon that they're hoping people don't pay very much attention to. So I think with her speaking, traders are going to be paying a whole lot more attention. I have no idea what she's going to say, but I'd be real careful about getting into a trade just before 1:30 today. And then next week we've got let's see, on Monday morning there are some economic numbers being released from Europe, and not a lot from the U.S. Canadian has housing starts. The Canadian dollar really moved up today, and it kind of helped suck crude oil to the upside also. Then Tuesday, just a few little things. Tuesday's not a real big news day. Wednesday, we will have crude oil inventory, and the news will start picking up. If you trade the Aussie dollar, next Wednesday afternoon is a bunch of stuff from New Zealand, and those a lot of big traders trade the New Zealand Aussie pair also. So, and Thursday morning, that's when we start to get a whole lot of stuff from Europe. A little bit, the standard unemployment claims on Thursday morning for the U.S. And then on Friday, we will get more U.S. news next week. So anyway, I think 1:30 might be a time to be very, very cautious today. So I also, Monday, we're hoping, I think we will get Daryl to come back in the room on Monday. So he might be able to, if you can shake loose, I'm thinking, 11:30ish. We might be able to get him back. He's talked about it. If something doesn't interfere with that, I do think he'll be back. Going forward, I'm going to have to do these little things that I do on Mondays and Fridays to leave Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday kind of out of the picture. I'm getting too many things I need to be doing, and I got to get rid of some things. So I will still, if Daryl does not come in on Monday into the room, then I will come in at noon, and we can kind of see what the week's shaping up for. But other than that, it'll be next Friday before I come back, and I'm going to start doing this on Mondays and Fridays. So we'll still type little things in from time to time, and everybody can pitch in. If you haven't figured out, yeah, are you volunteering, Aaron? If you haven't figured out how to use Market Replay, and you're all wondering why it is that Lori knows all this stuff, it's because she's a market replayer and spends hours and hours.